cool hotkeys now, instead of whatever the bullshit I had before. Now I can press Alt-A in OBS to start streaming. Is that nice? Let's check if everything is running, and it seems to be. Now let's ping everyone that wants to be pinged. What else? And whoa, we have chat here now. Well, we always do. I found a few cool programs that can effectively act as subway surfers in the corner of the video. So I'm gonna start using them because I think that's really funny. The first one is already known to you. C-Matrix, I feel like is installed on most Linux systems, like by default even, if I remember correctly. But did you know that there's actually a better version, a more configurable version called Unimatrix? It can have cooler symbols, you can configure how fast it goes, and basically have a look at that. Isn't that nice? Makes me remember that one video, specifically video that I did, where I had Unimatrix going on for a long time in the video, and then some pauses I edited out, so Unimatrix just kept on like jumping. So that was a terrible idea. Thankfully this is a stream that I do not intend to edit, so it doesn't matter here. Second program, interesting. Hasn't thrown errors for me before, so I guess it got updated. Second thing that we have, let's go from like least cool to most cool. There is a program called Sava that reacts to the audio that your desktop plays. It's not usually like this strong, but it's pretty cool. You can like enable it while you're listening to music, and it's gonna feel all cool and nice. But I generally don't have music playing on stream. Not generally, just I don't ever, because it's a massive hassle. First of all, I have to figure out what the desktop audio that you hear should be, and considering that chat isn't always active, what might end up happening is just a terrible VOD without me ever knowing, because the audio that I hear is of a different volume from what you hear, so it's kind of annoying. Then also it would make sense for me to also hear the music, meaning I have to wear headphones to make streaming an even more hot experience than it already is. So that's why I don't have music. Next, we have See Bonsai, that lets you see a bonsai tree growing in real time. Grows with ASCII characters of different colors and boldness too. It's pretty neat. And after it ends, it shows it for a few seconds, which you can configure, and then restarts. And the final program I like the most, it's called Pipes. That draws pipes, colored pipes, and the color of which you can also configure. Let me actually go to aliases. This is the alias that I use to make it configured with colors and stuff that I want. Isn't this pretty? I love it. Pipes actually let me have a revelation. these lines look really damn good. And if we look at them, what they actually are, they are borders. There are lines that you can use as borders. I have this take. I think borders look terrible in TUI programs. I think they just look awful. Turns out that isn't actually like a correct stance. Turns out the reason why I hated borders, specifically in NeoVim, is because default NeoVim borders just look terrible. Default ones. But what if I take these symbols as my border symbols and use them? Which is exactly and specifically what I ended up doing. Now, I do have borders. I even brought back borders in some places where I removed them prior. And they actually look really fucking good now. I think most of the reason for why I feel they look good now but not before is because the default borders felt really not anti-aliased. So on the corners it would try to smooth out, but it would look really, really terrible and noticeable, which ended up feeling really whack. So now for me using good symbols, this is no longer an issue. So let's go to my telescope configuration so I can actually show you how you can get something similar. In defaults, you have this option border chars, which you can set to an array of characters. Oops. So let me yab this and give it to you in chat. Kind of surprised that they can even render with like a default font. I thought these were like nerd font symbols, but I guess not. So if you want to use them, there you go. But this is specific for telescope, not the symbols and not the method that you're supposed to use to set them, but the ordering that it uses. In every other place where you change borders, this is the order. Technically you can just move them around, but it can be a hassle, so maybe it's just going to be easier if you just copy paste this into your config. So this by itself does nothing. So let's actually go and check what other places actually now uses cool borders. I still don't have borders for the suggestion window, because look at this. I am typing in this case false, and immediately on the exact next line I see the suggestion that I actually wanted to get. If I used borders instead, it would be not here, it would be here. And honestly now with these cool borders, I think it looks better. I just don't think it's very practical. But I do have borders for the inline documentation window that I can pop up for like a suggestion that I keep. Doesn't this look really fucking good? And back before it didn't have borders, it was okay. It was fairly okay. And when it had default borders, it looked fucking terrible. Let's go to CMP so I can show you how you can configure it. And so you can separate them, just as I showed you. The suggestion window doesn't have borders for me, but the documentation window does. So in your opts, you set window, oops, completion, and this is where, whoops, this is where you could set borders. So the second array that I sent you here. Since I use these borders in multiple places, I just keep them in a global variable effectively and use them all over the place. But you could just copy paste the array here, and then also inside of window, documentation, and you set the border for the documentation. And yeah, you can also use multiple types of borders for multiple different things. You can even add borders to the lazy window, which I haven't bothered to do yet, but I would actually say that it would look better with borders, with these borders. Then what do we have? Let's go here to start typing in something. Vim function length, sure. So there's this LSP thing for basically telling you information about the parameters that you're currently entering in a function call. Well, usually. Oh, and I actually haven't changed it. Perfect situation. Let's go and change it. Signature. Yes, the word I was looking for is signature. Let's figure out how to change that. Signature. So it probably takes... Wait, it doesn't take anything? Displays signature information about the symbol under cursor. And it doesn't take any options like definition here does. That's pretty surprising. I might have an idea. So I already have an auto command that runs when the LSP attaches, and it calls this function, and I'm not sure if my stored count JNK idea is all that great. Maybe it just takes immense amount of time to get used to, but I'm like reconsidering it, maybe redesigning it so it's not like always storing count. Hey Rooney. So I guess fucking spoiler, my hover thing, which is on GH, for me at least, usually it's capital T, it also has borders, but if I remember correctly, you can't just pass the borders as options. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. All the cool people. Would you look at that? Thank you so much. I was just about to write this. And I didn't like remember it offhand, so this is very useful. Thank you, Rem. So if you want to get pinged for whenever I stream, join the Discord server. The link is in the description, and get the chatter role, which you can get in channels and roles. Pretty neat. Well, I guess let's just copy and paste this. This is so convenient. And yeah, by the way, so the default borders in NeoVim is single, I believe. But there are actually multiple different ones that you can pick from. The best looking ones I remember is double, but I still do prefer these ones. Just copied it from my config. Thank you very much. So now we can just copy paste this and then format it. And now let's set it to end of borders as well. Okay, everything looks okay. So hover, I already showed you. uses borders, and this is how we set it. So make an auto command on lsp attach and make it run this. I guess I don't even have to send you the code because it's in the Discord. Isn't that convenient? Unless you're one of the 3 people that got banned on my Discord server. Then oh well, I guess. Let's restart. So I already showed you hover, that doesn't really change. But let's do vim function length once again. Wait for the language server to pop up, and I think it did. What are the words in your status bar? Oh, these ones? So these are like chores, tasks that are overdue, tasks that I should do, because enough days have passed since I last did them. So I should change my filter, wash cloths, wipe the dust, wash the filter, hence filter, should vacuum, and I should like wash the floor, yeah, and more stuff. And the way these are sorted is that the more overdue tasks appear first. I don't floss. I barely have enough energy to fucking brush my teeth. So yeah, let's do blammo. Now it has cool looking borders. Also, I'm trying a different approach because anytime I stream, I usually end right before burning out. And I think this is because I try to speak infinitely without pauses and with a very high energy. So like, no shit, it's kind of difficult. So I'm trying to be more chill, and maybe this way I can more comfortably do longer streams. The info for the different border options is in there. Yeah. Very good to mention, because yeah, you wouldn't usually know how to set borders, like where that comes from, but it is indeed from OpenWin. That's when I figured it out. So oftentimes when you can configure floating windows, it refers to the config of this function, which you can check the help page of. So I showed you most things, honestly. Let's search for border to see where else. Yeah, so the float. Oh, I guess this is a bit of a different float. The diagnostic float. So I make an error, now I do GL. It also has cool looking borders now. Believe it or not, I used to just have no borders here as well, and it would just be a floating line, which looked really weird, but still it was way better than default borders. And yeah, that's about it. That's everywhere where I set borders. You can also set borders for the lazy window in a very similar fashion. You can check the README and it'll probably tell you, oh, here's the window options that you can pass. There was some more complex thing, I remember now. So NeoVim Notify also can, and I think does, have borders. However, there it's a bit more complex. Instead of being like, oh, pass me a table of window options, can't do that directly, but there is in options an unopen function that you can define that does whatever with the window once it opens. And you can use Vim API, NeoVim when set config, to change configuration of a window after it has been created, which is exactly what I do here. And since I use Astro NeoVim, it already defines this option, which is why I first of all take the previous function, and when I define my own function, I call it first, so that everything that Astro does, whatever it is, still is kept. So it's possible even in something like this, which is like a bit more annoying to work with than just like passing a table. So not too bad. But today I want to talk about Luasnip. Luasnip has been my third favorite plugin for some time now, but I've actually like severely underused it. So I think you have the background of normal and the background of border float set differently. Do I? Really? No, they're the same. Or do you mean like the foreground of borders? No, you don't mean that. So my number one favorite plugin is Harp NeoVim, which is a plugin that I wrote, so it makes sense that it's my favorite plugin. Second is Oil.NeoVim, and third is Luasnip, because of the power, sheer power that it provides. But I underused it for some reason. Let's go to the Subway Surfers. Yes, I'm gonna be calling it that. So I underused it for some reason, even though I knew of the power it had. For example, in Luasnip, there's the concept of node. Node is a singular thingy that gets snippeted. So there can be a text node, which is just text. You expand the snippet and it turns into text. Among multiple text nodes, you may also have insert nodes. Those you jump to one by one to insert in multiple places in the snippet, one by one. But there's this amazing thing, which is a function snippet, or rather a function node. And the coolest thing about it is that it is just a Lua function that returns a string. You can do any logic that you want inside of that function. As long as you just return a string, it will dynamically paste in some text. Can you imagine just how powerful that is? It is incredible. So the way that I use it currently is that I have some snippets that use a function node, as you can see here, to insert different types of dates. So I can do this and then expand, boom, Saturday, because it's Saturday currently. Similar thing with DT, boom. It does not turn into DistroTube, it turns into the current date. And then TM is time, 9:20, exactly as it is. Also have this option for if I ever want to do that. But that's like the only function nodes that I have here. Despite the possible immense power of this, I don't really make use of it that much. Because think about it this way, you could just make an API request to something and make it paste in automatically. Like for example, a snippet idea that is very possible is a snippet called like exchange. You expand it, you type in a number in dollars, and then it does an API request to get the same amount in other different currencies, and all of that is like text. To like show that you would expand it, and now you type in like 100 rubles, and then it would turn to like what, $1, like 1.1 1.1 pound, etc. So it would fill in this entire snippet. This is the type of thing that you can do with function nodes, and yet I didn't use them more than for this. I'm usually the type of person to configure like ridiculously much, which you might see from my streams. I basically only talk about, oh my god, look at this amazing thing in NeoVim, which probably gives the impression that I only do NeoVim related things, which is only partly true. I also in theory do other things, but I just love NeoVim so much. So I didn't really have a solution, like an answer for why I underuse snippets or Luasnip. But thanks to a person that I think already mentioned prior on some other stream, they helped me again. So thanks to 2.9 for fucking exploding my brain with Luasnip. So the way that I had it before, and this is the default way it works in Astro NeoVim, is that as you start typing, it brings you this CMP suggestion window, all as normal. And then all of your snippets that you define also appear here. And you use the same exact mapping to either complete some suggestion or complete a snippet. That's what I used before. This is a very like normal way of going about it, and most people will prefer this because it makes sense. But I realized that this is actually ass. This is actually pretty damn bad for the concept of snippets. First of all, I have now a snippet which is just S. So in theory, snippets are supposed to have the highest priority. So if I have a snippet which is just S, it would appear first, and then I select, and here I am. But that is in theory. What ended up being the case in practice is that sometimes other things would appear instead of the snippet. So I can't really rely on making very, very short snippets, because then it will be kind of annoying to pick them. And sometimes it's just not worth it at that point. By the time I pick the correct one and find it, I would have already typed everything in. And so to counteract that, my snippet triggers, my snippet names, were longer, like quite significantly longer, where I would type multiple characters, like a good few, to make sure I can easily match the snippet. Second of all, CMP introduces a delay, possibly. It depends on how big your project is, but it absolutely can. So you type in your thing and you immediately press the complete mapping. First of all, it's already kinda noticeable the kind of delay that it does to expand something, whatever it is, because of how CMP works, I'm guessing. So it can have a delay after. It's not like huge or enormous, no, not really, but it is noticeable on like a subconscious level, where this type of delay feels kinda and so might discourage you from using snippets, because they feel more heavy than you would like them to be. But not only is there this post delay, there's also a pre-delay. The delay that happens as you, like, imagine you just typed in if and immediately you press the hotkey to complete. You don't actually have to wait for the suggestion window to pop up. You can immediately just press the complete mapping and it will select whatever matches, which is pretty cool. However, it doesn't always work perfectly. Sometimes, despite it working this way, it doesn't. And you end up having to wait for the window anyway. I'm not exactly sure when is the sweet spot and how it works, but it's not always perfect. So what we come to is that it feels kind of off when you complete stuff like variables, functions, or whatever else about the language itself, not about its syntax. Yeah, completions are 100% worth it, and this kind of delay on both sides is okay. It's super whatever. But for snippets that are meant to be very short and sweet and to make things easier and faster to type in, there the delay doesn't feel good and doesn't really make sense. Especially considering that you might need to make your snippets super specifically named so that they are consistently caught correctly as the first thing. So turns out I don't have to like appear snippets inside of CMP. As you can see here, it doesn't show up. I typed in WD and none of these show up. Only the snippet provided by the Lua language server does. So I removed them. How do I do that? I remove a plugin that AstroNeovim provides, which happens really often. I disabled a lot of stuff. You might argue, why are you using Astro then? You have to disable goddamn everything. It's still worth it for me though, because a lot of the really bullshit stuff, including CMP by the way, is done for me and I don't ever have to even know how it works. It's so nice. Let me show you the community pack for Rust. Look at all this. It's okay for now, right? Oh god. Oh Jesus Christ. I would never be able to write that, and at the very least I would never bother to. But I get this for free. And my Rust language support is top tier without me having to put in the effort. That's why I love Astro, even though I have to disable like a billion plugins. Maybe Astro should have the equivalent of no default features. Well, hold up now. What's the point then? Maybe. I'm not sure how that would work though. I'm sure there's a way though. So since the, right, let me actually like show you at least what plugin I remove in case you're also using Astro NeoVim. I remove this plugin, and what is really nice is that I didn't need to configure anything further. I just removed the plugin and they got removed, no errors, no nothing. So that's really fucking nice. You have to explicitly specify all the plugins you want. See, that's kind of like then becomes questionable in terms of maintenance, because Astro has some configuration built in for those plugins. Like, it doesn't just ship default plugins, it also configures those together as a whole system. So if you like, oh, I don't want this specific plugin, then what should the system do? Because it expects those plugins to kind of like make a complete experience, you know? So positive space instead of negative space. I see your idea, but I don't think how it would work. Or I don't see. Maybe it's doable, though. I'm gonna go wash my face, because it's still hot despite me not talking as much. So let me use my cool hotkeys. I'm back. Dependency trees are hard. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm not sure if lazy is like strong enough to allow that to make sense. I assume it's strong enough to make it work, but maybe not to make sense, because it will still like compile plugin specs probably. Or maybe not. after removing this plugin, now they don't show up. So what I have now is a separate mapping to specifically expand the snippet. So now it is separate from the suggestion window. To accept a suggestion, I use one mapping, but to expand the snippet, I use a completely different one. And see how instant and smooth it was? It just expanded with no weird, strange little delays of CMP. It just expands and feels really fucking good. So let's go to Luasnip. And here are all the mappings. Oops. Yeah, I think I'm gonna disable stored count and maybe use something like backslash that does store count or something. I'm not sure. I think the idea is very cool, but it's very hard to not sure how to explain it. Not sure if it's worth it. So if you want the code, blammo, you have it here. And you, the VOD watcher, which will say, well, come on now, I am watching this in 2086. How am I supposed to find this? After I finish a stream, I actually change this to a link to the VOD. So to search most efficiently, you can grab the link to the video that you're currently watching and search by that, and you'll come to this. Kind of neat behavior. So this is the bread and butter. This mapping specifically expands a snippet. I'm still like flabbergasted at just how instant, smooth, and fast this is. It just expands. What this allows me to do now is to title my snippets very shortly. Like, I just have a snippet called S. Which would be very likely for me is that the S snippet wouldn't appear first, possibly. And even if it did, it would kind of be a bad thing, because anytime I just press S, it would always appear. Which sucks in a different way. Now all snippets are hidden and don't bother me. So just S immediately, blammo, I type the thing in, then I jump using these two mappings to jump forward and backward. And the cool behavior of Luasnip is that if you go back onto an insert node where you have already typed in some text, you can just change it. Because when you like move over it, you're actually in select mode. Not visual mode, select mode. And select mode was made for the mouse, interestingly. The way it works is that once you start typing, you just immediately change the selected text. So basically how GUI editors usually do things. Usually that's useless in NeoVim, so it's never really used anywhere except in Luasnip. Which is why is insert and select mappings. You should make these mappings for both insert and select mode. So let me actually do this. So I and S, like this. Also, you could make it so some insert nodes come with predefined text. I have this already actually. My I snippet fills in 1 automatically. As you can see, I am once again in select mode. So you can just type some other number to replace it. Which is very convenient. The extra cool thing of Luasnip is that you are not bound to only stay in insert mode. You can go to normal mode, to wherever. You can travel across the file. You can even go to a completely different file, come back, and where were we? Here. And the jumpings will continue being valid. They are remembered, which is just incredible. This is the reason why I love Luasnip so much, because it doesn't bind you the way that VS Code does it, for example, to just stay specifically in the correct places and move nowhere. No, you can move all you want and then continue on, still being able to use the jumps. By the way, the jumps are kind of slow right now. This is not usually the case. This is like it is now only because I'm streaming, so usually they're instant as well. So you don't need to worry about that. Then another concept of Luasnip, which is a choice snippet or a choice node that lets you pick between multiple options. So my S snippet actually has a choice node here. I can decide between brackets or no brackets with a simple key map on Alt-O, which is very, very convenient. And here, both of them are. So let's go and look at how you're supposed to actually write them. So you'll require Luasnip and then import all of these. So the main snippet node, function node, text, insert, choice. So this is a snippet, a singular one, and it has a trigger here as the string, and then it expects from you a table of snippet nodes. Here I just have one function node and that's it, just inserts text. Here lower I just have a text node. It also inserts text, but now it's like static. Or I guess computed on you reloading new vim would be more precise. Because like you can put a variable here like OSNV, I believe. No? I don't remember what it is in Lua, but like you could have an environment variable be part of some of your snippets, for example. So a bunch of text nodes. This is the default way of how you combine some stuff. So first, a text node, then an insert node for you to insert text in, then text again, insert again, text again, insert again, text again. So it's kind of a hassle to make a snippet sometimes, but here's how it looks. So first, it inserted the text, the entire text, all the time, by the way, but we inserted some inserts nodes into it. The first one has pre-filled n. I'm in select mode once again. So this is because generally most mappings are for normal mode, so it makes sense as a default. If I want to keep it, I just jump to the next insert node. But otherwise I can like set it to S or something and still jump. So that's very convenient. So this is the second one, where I type in my left hand side, and then I jump again to either use a string or a function or whatever. But this is kind of a hassle to type in and can be very hard to read, which is why the format nodes exist. I'm fairly certain I will remove the remembering count thing. Or maybe I'll still make them remember count, but to how would I make this work? Maybe like Alt J, Alt K, remember count, but otherwise they don't. But then, so the main idea for why I even want remembered count is for reading. Already explained this on, I think, my previous stream. Yeah. So Alt J, Alt K doesn't really make sense. Maybe I should just make it a toggle, whether or not count is remembered. It's probably the most reasonable idea. So yeah, the format nodes let you make your snippets in a bit more readable way, although they end up being less readable in other ways. It's a trade-off, and can be very complex and difficult to understand, as you can probably see already. So we make a snippet. It is once again has a trigger and the format and format A nodes. You can see that I don't put it in a table here, I don't put it in brackets. This is because a format node is not actually a node. It just formats some stuff and returns a table of nodes that are appropriate. Which is why we don't need to put it in a table, because it returns the table that we want. I really like storytelling in my streams, but also it's so fucking exhausting. I'm like trying to burn myself out less, but it's not working super well. I'm not sure how to balance this shit. Or I guess maybe just explaining things is difficult to begin with, so it contains, or there, it uses a lot of energy. And then I also have to talk, which I don't usually. I don't know. So you pass a string which is a format. Whoops, wrong place. What? Here we go. So FMT, or rather, okay, sure, let's start with FMTA. So it has some text, right? So this is just literal text, but these angled brackets are placeholders for the nodes that we're going to insert at those positions. And that is what, for fuck's sake, oh my god. Still haven't fully gotten used to my custom mapping for the caret. Which is why I keep pressing capital H, because it's on caps lock H for now. So this is what the A stands for. If we just used FMT, then these angle brackets would have to be these brackets. And whenever you want to use them literally, so if you want this to not be a placeholder but instead be literal angle brackets, you have to double them like this. Now they are literal. Same thing applies to FMT with like curly brackets. I don't know how streamers do it, honestly. Especially like making streams for multiple hours. And I usually burn out at about the hour mark. But then, I guess usually streams aren't about teaching something. Trying to like figure out a method to not basically finish stream when I burn out. It's also the reason why I like stream not that frequently, is because I have to first collect energy to do it. Found the piece of code where the border styles are defined in UVM. Linked in Discord because YouTube doesn't like me. It doesn't like anyone actually. YouTube doesn't allow links, and I specifically looked to enable people to send links, but not a thing. Wait. This looks like it sent, like, copied the incorrect link. Let's try it though. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Huh. I guess I was wrong then. I think NeoVim uses rounded borders by default. Yeah, these one I despise. I hate them. They look really bad for me. And solid is just nothing. Interesting. So I'm thinking like, should I continue like high energy streaming where I make my hour of content, burn out, but at least then it's a VOD that I can very freely send to people, because it's like, I guess, complete and energetic content? Or should I focus on the streaming, where I min-max how I do things and like chill out a bit more so I can make them longer and like less pressurizing, I guess. I'm not sure what I should go for. So yeah, these presets, these like thingies, they are for the table that you then put in as the second parameter to FMT and FMTA. So in this table, you just pass consecutively all the nodes that you want to put in. What do you mean meow? My cat is meowing. So we insert an insert snippet or an insert node here and a choice node here, which ends up looking like this. You can see an insert node is indeed here, and here is a choice node that I can choose between. Okay, so this is the choice node that you'll have to index along with insert nodes. So it's not like, oh, this is the first choice node, let's make it 1. No, it still has to be like consequential with the other insert nodes in this same table. And choice nodes also take a table of how do I explain this? They take a table, each element of which is a table of extra nodes. So FMTA results into being a table of nodes. And this I here is just a single node, so I don't need to put it in a table, but in theory, I would put it in a table. So this second FMTA is the one that uses brackets. So brackets, space, an insert node here, and end of brackets. And so this choice node lets me pick between brackets around or no brackets around. So I hope all of this makes sense together. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around at first, because it's so much like nesting conceptually. But once you get the hang of it, it's super nice. It's way better than trying to like do this kind of thing. Here is my... She's meowing so hard. Okay, I'm gonna come back in a sec. So this one is like interesting because I am making a snippet to make a snippet. So I'm using FMTA here once again, and then it has FMT inside of it. So it's like recursion almost. But this one is like simple than the previous snippet that we just looked at, because all it does is just put two insert nodes into there, and that's basically it. Here I make a snippet for the text node thing that either puts braces around a single quoted string or just a single quoted string. So that is because the T snippet node, if you just want some text, just use this. But if your text is multi-line, then you have to specify every line as a separate string, like this. So line 1, line 2, like this. So this is why I get to choose between that. You could make a recursive snippet building snippet just for fun. That's kind of what I did actually yesterday. My snippet was way more complex. It was SNP, and then when I expanded it, it would create a snippet that lets me choose between a text node or FMT. Then on FMT I can choose to insert A, then I switch, then I can choose between one sort of brackets and another one. Basically it was really complex, but then I realized that it actually makes more sense to split it into multiple snippets, one for each type of node. Also, in FMTA, it's a fairly good idea to use these strings, like multi-line strings, because all the indentation and new lines that would usually be annoying is handled by Luasnip automatically, so they work correctly, basically. So here is a multi-line thingy, which goes like this, and then enter, oops, tab, this, and then like this. So I could instead just use a multi-line string here, but it is fucky with my formatter, so not a fan of it. I mean, like, if I was making correct syntax, rather, if I put it in the correct place, it would be all okay. The issue is just that it uses formatting that I don't like. So it works, I just don't like the formatting, which is why I don't use multi-line strings, and then just instead put in a new line in tab, which you can't, by the way, just use in a text node. You specifically have to use braces for that sort of thing. So yeah, you put in a bunch of snippets all in a single table, and then you do require Luasnip add snippets for this file type, and you pass the table of snippets, and here you go. Yeah, so now that I can have arbitrarily long and named snippets, it is way easier to make use of them. Then they also expand instantly, especially if I'm not streaming. They're just instant. And with the new found power of FMT and FMTA, and also choice nodes, they become super fucking powerful. And let's not forget about function nodes, let you execute whatever code that you want, whatever code, and that just ends up being text. I really want to play more with that to, I don't know, like use curl, for example, to get some result from an API and insert it or something. Let's actually do something like that. All snippets. Let's create something with that idea. Uklaner. Actually, what am I doing? I have a snippet for this. For making a snippet. So let's do Uklaner. Now, this is just a function node. Let's do this function. See how nice this is? Oh, by the way, I was so wrong on having to provide an index. That's not a thing, turns out. Well, you can press Ctrl G to go from select mode to visual mode, select this, go back to insert mode, and continue on. I'll have to just fix that snippet though. I have a track currently rotating in my mind that I really want to share with you. It is such a fucking banger. It's like, oh my god. I love Necro Trap so much. Can you generate a snippet while using the snippet, like generating a host node? Yeah, absolutely. It's just that it will grow in complexity exponentially, and I'm kind of scared of trying to do that. So I just go for like the more slightly simple snippets, but technically you can do whatever you fucking want. It's super powerful if you can manage all the context in your head. So local, we should make a snippet for lock. Local output is env shell uklaner. I think that's, whoops. So this is my program called uklaner. It's on my GitHub. That prints a useful random word. So uklaner, we just call it to get a random word. Call wait on this, and before anybody asks, this is the abstraction. Here you go. Where you requires 1 argument. Huh. Ah, because this has to be a table, right? I assume. What's the issue here? I don't get it. Or did it get fixed? No. Oh, right. So wait is a method on the result of env shell. Right. That's why it was screaming at me. Okay, so we just call uklaner. This is our output. Or I guess it's better to name it result. If not result, so if it is nil, wait, if not, if result code is 0, then I also need to make a snippet for then snippet. we return nothing. And this can work. It will just expand into nothing. So this is very convenient. But otherwise, we return... Wait, I have a snippet for return. rn, which I should add a space to. Add space to return snippet. Result std out, and we trim it. What do you mean trim, you might say? Lua doesn't have trim. True, but I do. I implemented it somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Because Vim script provides functionality for trim, and that is what I'm using. Which is very convenient, because otherwise there would be a final new line included in the output of oclaner or any shell command. So trim is convenient for that. Let's reload. Now when I do oclaner, I guess nothing. So you cannot just pass a string. Let's make it able to pass a string. Let's go edit the abstraction. So if is instance? No. Is if type, hold up, if snippet type, no, even better, if equals, I don't have that one? Oh really? Okay, sure, let's if for now. If command, if type command is string, holy shit, there are suggestions for this type of thing? I didn't know. Then command is this. So now if the entire command is just a single string, like a single token in the shell, then we can just provide it as a string. So that's pretty nice. Let's try it again. oclaner. Interesting. Oh, I'm stupid. I basically said, if it is successful, do nothing. If it is not successful, do something. Yeah, I was supposed to do it like this. Now it will work. oclaner, and now it's a random word. oclaner dates. oclaner. So this trigger name, oclaner, and overall the program name is actually like, it has history to it. I created the idea for oclaner and I implemented it in AutoHotkey back in the day, back when I was in university, and there was this class where the teacher was strange. The professor didn't actually care that much if it did anything, but we needed to act like we did something. So if I could just tap on my keyboard kinda infinitely, it would look like I'm doing something, which is when I made the perfect random string that feels the most ergonomic, because U, C, L, A, and R move my fingers in a very smooth way while alternating between. So this is like a very nice combination of letters that I found. It felt really good to repeat kinda infinitely, to type it kinda infinitely. And so the trigger to insert a random word would be oclaner, because if I just start typing in oclaner, 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 etc., it would get very clear very fast. Like, let me show this. There's a more efficient way of doing this, I just couldn't be bothered. What's my, I think this? No. Is it this still? No. recently changed my mappings and I'm trying to remember them. CU? No. DO. Here we go. So imagine just a screen filled with this. It is very clear, even if you just like kind of pass by, that, oh, you're just typing bullshit, what the hell? But if each of these words is a random word, it will look like actual text, even if it makes completely no sense for a teacher that's just passing by me, right? Which is where Oklaner comes from. Story time. Right, this is so nice to type. I know, right? It's amazing. But now that I don't need to make it seem like I'm doing something to any teachers, I can just make it like faster. UCL doesn't make as much sense anymore because my mapping to expand the snippet is on Alt-I. So what do I do honor instead? Actually, just do AR, a random word, basically. AR, boom. Actually, the it's not great. What about AS? I think AS will be pretty neat. Although if I ever make a snippet for casting, I'll bite myself in the ass. I like it though. Let's make it ASI so that we handle the issue of the convenient as snippet for casting. So ASI. Okay, yeah, this is good. So now I can just insert a random word whenever I want to, which is really fucking cool. Although if you need like a lot of random words, it'll still be better to do read and then cloner like, I don't know, 26. Sure, 29. Like this is going to be more efficient, but if you just need like a single random word now, just a snippet for it. So yeah, this is very cool. Fucking Subway Surfers. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's see if that works kinda at all. Sure, my content may be less useful perhaps, but like as a result, or you can switch around, but like I'll burn out less, which is a very good thing. What the fuck is better confirm abstraction? Oh, I see. We'll see if we'll get to that. Let's first of all work on some snippets. Really? Okay, return. Yes, this. Let's add a space here. And just like that, done. Then let's add a then snippet on th. I'm thinking if it can just be a text node, but no, not really, because I need to put the insert node inside. So let's do fmta. So then, do I need the end or not? I do. Because I already have a thing for else if with then. So then new line tab, here is going to be my insert node, new line again end, and this is going to be an insert node. See how easy it was to make this snippet using snippets? Fucking great. And this one is going to be very easy. Wait, is this even... Okay, yeah, that's the correct section. I was thinking we were being here, and that would be the incorrect place technically to put it there. Let's make a snippet for lock, and this can just be a text snippet, which does this. Cool. So now I can just do lock. That's pretty nice. That's like not a very big deal. It saves me 3 characters and I'm pressing 2. But it kind of feels nice. Because local is... Okay, well, it's not like huge or anything. It's fairly short keyword. Maybe not short, but it's okay. It's not fucking function, which is ridiculous. But still, like, I prefer something like let, where it's just 3 characters and you're done, rather than 5 characters here. Let's look through this. I'm not sure how I would write this, which is why we should probably do it. So there is a Vim script function called confirm that lets you select between multiple options. I've talked about it before, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but it's very convenient. The API to work with it, though, is not as convenient. So I want to make an abstraction to make it a bit nicer. So let's make a function on env confirm. It will take options. So the confirm Vim script function takes a list of, it takes a prompt first, yeah, prompt, options, and then default. So basically this, Vim function confirm, I should make a thing for Vim function, like VF or something. Oh, that's a really fucking good idea. Let's make VF. It's just a text node. So Vim function dot. Right? So VF, oh, that's so nice, holy shit. So confirm, we can just pass the prompt directly. And the way that options are supposed to be is basically like this. First option, then a new line, second option. So this makes more sense to be a table instead. Then what confirm returns is the index of the picked thing. So then what you have to do is something like I really should make IFE. And we'll get to the thing for sure. So fmta if this equals this, then and we basically just put a bunch of these 2, 3. So what you have to do is if index is 1, meaning first option, then you have to, I guess, remember again what that first option is, because it's not returned, only the index of the option that you picked. Like, I don't know, print first option. So that is a bit clunky. The design that I want to go for here is that options is a map instead. A map of options to the value that you want to use with that option. And also not a map, but actually a table of tuples, like an array of tuples. But before we continue working on this, let's actually like remove storing count for now. Just straight up, just remove it. I'll see if I miss it, and then I maybe will think of a way to bring it back in a more, like, less annoying, I guess, light. I guess the biggest issue with it is that it feels inconsistent. That is entirely a skill issue, but still. So options will look something like this. I forgot block. Oh, that's so nice. Sugoi. So it is a table that contains a table which is first option, and the second thing is the value that I want to use. For what can I don't know, my function name or something. Usually just want values, but which is why it's just going to be a value. It can be a function if you want. It can be anything if you want. It's pretty stretchy. So we basically need to collect all the first elements of this table into a single table and then join them all with new lines. So I guess let's do a for value in I pairs options I guess do already exists in a language server, but it is sometimes slower. We should rename options to something else. Let's rename it to state. State. doesn't really make sense at all for what it's worth, but okay. If you have suggestions, please tell me. Now, so this is options. And this is an empty table for now. For each value, so this is a value, a singular value. We table insert options. Fucking gotta love how Lua does table insertions. Of course, fucking table insert is a function and you pass a table instead of it being like a method on the table. I hate it so much. So we insert value 1. So what that ends up being is that value is this table of two things, and it takes the first thing. So this way we collect all the options, and then options is now vim function join options with a new line. And now, holy shit, I didn't need to reset my count. That was really nice. First I got like really excited about storing count, now I'm excited about not having to reset it. That's very interesting. So now we can just pass options like this, which is great. Default, I guess we'd also just pass like this. Although it would be cool for it to be tied. No. I thought that, maybe you pass the actual option that you want to be default. But then you just have to repeat the same thing twice, and that doesn't really make sense. Yeah, no. So just pass default as an index, and that's all. Also, what the hell? I thought you got fucking renamed. You are state. I guess because I redefined it, that's why. So this way we get the index that we want. If index is 0, god, this snippet is amazing. What the hell? We return we are n null. Now I can just type in, wait, nil. I guess I can't. And also, by the way, about Luasnip, if you don't add an insert node of 0, of index 0, it automatically adds one at the end of the snippet, which is really convenient. I was just able to jump to the end and just continue typing without adding this myself. It's super cool. So yeah, confirm returns 0 if you pressed escape, which is very convenient. And now all we do is return state. We use the index because we know that, yeah. And we also don't have to check if index is in bounds because it has to be. And if it isn't, then I implemented this incorrectly. So we take basically this whole entire table is the first index. So we take that, but the second value in it. So this, and this is going to be the value tied to the option, whatever the fuck it might actually be. And that should be it, actually. Now we just remove the state that I added as an example. And here we are. I use confirm in one of my thingies. If it is out of bounds, it returns nil anyway, so it wouldn't be that bad. False, actually. I think you're assuming that confirm returns nil, or returns like the wrong index if it's out of bounds. This is actually impossible. Let's try it out. So let's call confirm test option 1 second one. I mean indexing. Oh, I see. Yeah, but like the main point is that it's impossible for confirm to return an index that is not valid. Because if this can return nil, I guess that's not really an issue, because the user will have to still check for nil. So yeah, I guess it's not an issue. But it's impossible also, which I'm going to prove right now. We call confirm, and here it is. That's how confirm looks. You type a character, and you don't need to press enter, by the way, which is very convenient, to pick one of the options. If I press any other character, it just ignores them, which is really cool. That means that it can only return an index which is either one of the options or you pressed escape, which is really fucking great. Let's do the same thing, but make it echo instead of call, so that you can see what it returns. I press escape, boom, it returns 0. I press O, returns out 1, so the first thing. And if I press enter, it will use the default option, which is the first one by default. Trying to remember where I used it. Let's just vim function confirm. Here. So this is how I do it currently. But no need actually to do it that way. Let's do VII norm YSS like this. Blammo. Let's do another norm here to add commas at the end. Hello. Okay. Let's GX. Let's like easy align that by this thingy. Here we go. And we do that so that we can easy align here by quote. I guess we can't. By something that ends with a quote. Let's grab all of these and paste them like this. We can now delete this and format. Voila! That's why I love them. So now this options thing table remove options. Oh yeah, the entire index. So this thing that I have here works. I thought I was gonna have to remove it. Oh wow. And now we just do env confirm still prompt, I believe, yeah, and options, and returns not actually the index. It is way better than that. It just returns, well, I guess that works too, it just returns exactly what we want. Either the value. Can you unfuck, please? Oh my god. It returns us either the value that we're actually checking for and looking for to get, or nil. So this API is way nicer now. Hell yeah. So this is one of the mappings that I have. Yeah, this is super cool. So I get case type with this prompt. What the fuck is true? Oh, right. Because the second is a word that removes some of the options. And we get case, which is nil. And if it is nil, then we return. And otherwise, we just use the value. That's fucking amazing. And now let's commit it. I'll commit that later. So we added env confirm, and we used it. Sure. Snippets I can also add into here. This just got formatted, so it doesn't matter. And now, usually I would pull out the this to make the commit, but I recently installed a plugin for NeoVim called Vim Fugitive. I'm sure you've heard of it if you use Vim or NeoVim. The cool thing about it is pretty straightforward. It doesn't do much, which is exactly what I wanted for my Git plugin. So you use the G or Git command, and then just specify the command that you want, like commit, and it just interprets everything exactly how you would want. So it's very straightforward. And I made a mapping that just calls the command. So now I can open and make a commit message inside of my editor instead of opening a new kiddie pane and then starting an editor there. Better Vim function confirm API, and that's it. Let's go to commit. So here are my mappings for it. You just call git and then whatever git command that you want, and it's going to be within your editor. And it's better than calling something like this, git blah blah blah, in that it doesn't print this press enter to continue message, which is very convenient. And you can also silence it, which I guess you can. Oh my god, shut the fuck up, you tractor. Why did I use tractor as a slur? What? I guess you can silence the bang commands as well. So yeah. Basically, the README of this plugin makes a point that it's less wordy. I think I've noticed this already. So it's pretty nice. And this is actually a tpope plugin, which tends to be really nice in that you don't really need to configure them. They're just that good by default. Like, I do no configuration here. It just works. So it is one of the rare plugins that you can just start using, and you don't have to spend like an hour or two configuring it to be what you want. It is just what you want to begin with. It's like super reasonable. So that's lovely. I could, I guess, use confirm here as well, but I already wrote out all of this code. I kind of can't be bothered. But the way it would work here, I guess, is that I would map modified, new, and deleted to the same word but lowercase. And I would use it here directly. So yeah, this API is way better, but I can't be bothered to like rewrite this using the new API of confirm, because ultimately it doesn't matter that much, because this is my personal config. This is not like a project. So once I have written the code and it works and achieves my functionality, well, shit, I have the functionality. So it often isn't worth it to rewrite it just because it's better, because like it already works, you know? Different case if it's a more of a serious project where making things better obviously makes sense. Or more sense, I should say. Yippee! Oh, well, actually, we were just on them. Oh, not exactly. Yeah, so these are my mappings for my GAF program that lets you stage a different type of git change. So here I have a bunch of unstaged modifications. I can do GAF stage or just S, modified or just M, and that will stage all of my modifications. But if I had deletions here, or the opposite, new files, those would not be touched. This usually you can't do conveniently in Git, which I was annoyed with, which is why I made this program to begin with. Like, how do you unstage all renames, for example? You would have to use the file path or whatever. But with GAF, you can just say, oh, GAF unstage, or just U, renamed, or just R. And here you go. So I made mappings in UVim for this sort of thing. So leader CA, and I'm using confirm here to choose. Let's stage all modifications. Here it is. It even prints a notification, which is pretty nice. But also now, thanks to Git Fugitive, I can just stage all, which I wasn't able to do before, and everything is staged now, or unstage all, and here they are. Very convenient. I don't usually stage everything, especially in dot files, so it's not like an always use type of thing. It's a sometimes food. Also, I often send links in chat to different config files that I have so that you have easy access to the code. Now I can't be bothered and I just send it to the Discord, but I have actually made it more convenient to get these links using GHL. I'm not gonna really bore you with the details of the implementation. I don't think that that they're that interesting. Yeah, they're kind of not interesting, but if you want to look at them, let me actually use the functionality to show you the functionality. First, I can select everything in visual mode, and now when I use my special mapping for it, it copies the link that it makes using GHL to my clipboard, and I can send it to you. The extra cool thing is that I also have a thing for parse branch head, meaning to get the link with the lines included of the current commit that is the latest. So the current commit that I'm currently on, rather than the most latest commit in the future type of thing. Which I'll have to push first for you to be able to access the second link. Do you grab the remote and git work create root? Nope. So I don't think I support git work trees. I have no clue what those are in GHL, but there is a command called git remote, nope, git remote, something. I don't remember the implementation I have in GHL, but basically it grabs the remote as specified in some command that gives you the remotes, and it grabs the first one, which is the remote used for your fork if the repository is a fork, rather than the upstream. Of course, if you use like actual GHL, you can specify whether you want upstream or origin, but by default it's origin, or whatever origin is named. I think I explained it in the README for GHL. That's GHL. Here you go. So yeah, this is very convenient. And also, I can grab the link to the current repository, as you can see here, because my current working directory is that. But I think it grabs the repository that the current file is in, I believe. No, it uses... Wait, what does it use? Oh, it's actually kind of stupid, I think. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It just takes... No, it does use current working directory. I'm not sure. It might either be using the shell current working directory that I have here, or it might be using the current working directory of NewVim. I don't quite remember. But that's for the repository. For the file repo, let's see what it uses. Yeah, for the file repo, it does correctly use the repository of the file. Yeah. Subway Surfers. Okay, I think the approach of mixing in teaching you things and doing things is pretty solid. I think it works a bit better. I'm not sure how much worth a longer stream is compared to like more compressed content, but it's easier to do. I feel like the recoil that I usually have after streaming lasts about an hour or two will be not as strong, because I was actually like basically balancing things a bit better. Not exactly at the middle section, but I think this works better for like my mental health. There's of course a plethora of ways that I could be making better content, but I can barely collect enough energy to stream at all, so I'm more so focusing on making this viable rather than making this the best possible. I don't have energy for best possible, but I do still know that I have value to provide with things that I know, discover, and make, and I want to share that, and so I do. So thanks everyone for watching. Join the Discord server if you want, the link is in the description. I'll see you next time.